Before we get into this episode, I just want to let y'all know it's sponsored by Prize Picks. Shout out Prize Picks. A little Mahomey-esque Super Bowl victory.
Jamie's looking a little Mahomey there.
Romo and Collinsworth really do get too much shit for dick riding Mahomes on the broadcast. Like, legitimately, he is the GOAT. Like, it's okay to say it. It's okay when someone hits some sidearm out of structure play to be reminded of Mahomes. He's the best to ever do it, man.
He's the best I've ever seen.
He hasn't had the best career yet, but he's the best.
The best
at his
I've
peak
ever seen
right
man.
now.
I mean, that fourth quarter was pretty flawless.
Yeah, man. And this run has been one of the best QB rings ever. I saw Aaron Schatz tweet out after the game. This was the toughest run in DVOA's history by a playoff team. I mean, they beat both 1 seeds, formidable 1 seeds at that. I mean, I thought the 49ers and Ravens, it was no way that those guys weren't going to play in the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs dispatched them both. I mean,
yeah,
holy cow.
Buffalo crushed them on the ground. Like,
I can't disagree at all. I think this run is entirely ridiculous from Kansas City. I mean, we went in thinking like the Ravens and the 49ers were both like good Super Bowl level teams, as in like they would have been an average Super Bowl winner, it felt like. And it seemed like such a foregone conclusion that it was going to be those two teams there. And the Chiefs handle them both. They handle the Bills. And I said in my tweet that that 3-game stretch was crazy, and I didn't include the Dolphins. Because their edge rushers were so banged up that game, where it's like it's kind of a little phony, you know. It's like they're so banged up, and you have the Miami team playing the coldest game ever or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But just a heck of a run, just a wild run from them, man.
It's really insane.
And this start to Mahomes' career is about as good as it could possibly be.
I mean, he's back on track. It was tough to say after he lost to Brady in the Super Bowl that he could ever match Brady's total. If he would have gotten that one, it would have been damn near. It would have been very close by now if that happened, but it didn't, and it looked a little uncatchable. But man, this was supposed to be some of the down years for the Chiefs. Like, the contract really starts to kick in. They have to shed Tyreek Hill, who goes on to be the best receiver in the league down in Miami and surpass the numbers that he had in Kansas City. And yet the Chiefs are the ones going back to back for the first time in 20 years. I mean, he just willed him and Spags, because we got to talk about the defense, but we're at the beginning of the show, right off the bat, we got to talk Mahomes' legacy. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it's we're talking about a guy who's got a real shot at being the GOAT. And I don't think that anybody can deny that at this point. That's how strong the start to his career has been. You know, I mean, there's just not many guys who are doing anything like that, right? And when Brady got his 7th or whatever, you're like, well, that's, game time. Maybe there'll be a player better than him, but nobody's ever probably going to get to 7 again. It's just too hard. You just have to play for too long. Not necessarily, dude. And I 100% agree. To do it with this team, it's amazing. It's amazing. Well, I don't want to put it like that. Mahomes played incredibly good this year, and the defense was so good. The limitations that they had, which I thought reared their head significantly in this game.
I mean, they had the longest stretch of no points that Mahomes has had in his career, dating back to the beginning of this game. From the end of the Ravens game, they scored 0 points for a whole game, basically, or just 3, the field goal. Over the course of like an entire game, 2 halves of football in the playoffs. So it's not like they never appeared.
Absolutely. And I thought, I was watching the first half in particular, and I was like, okay, we thought going into the game there's going to be a limitation on deep shots because they hadn't been particularly good at them, and the throw it over the middle of the field because it's the 49ers. And like, dude, they couldn't do it at all. They come out first drive, run, screen, check down. Second drive, it's like run, screen, sack, check down. Mm-hmm. And they had that one.
They got the one to Hardman.
They got the one to Hardman, which was an insane throw. I can't believe Mahomes got it that far, rolling. Yeah,
it's like Gibson got lost. It was weird.
Well, they got a nasty high low on him. It was a great play call to get Mahomes away from the pass rush and be able to hit a deep shot in those circumstances, because the pass rush really came out of this game roaring. So they moved the pocket and had Kelsey going underneath Gibson and then Hardman going way above him. And he was in conflict and they were both open. So, that was just a wild play call in that moment and a hell of a one to hit. But then, of course, it doesn't matter with the fumble.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So they finished that one off with a fumble, and you're like, man, I going into halftime, I'm like, it's just not looking good. It just feels like one of those games where the Chiefs might hang around because their defense is so good, but they're not going to actually be able to pull this one off because there's just too much going against them. And it just wasn't the case, man. They just
I was pretty nervous about that offensive line after the first half.
Yeah.
They're going to have to drop back more and more, and these guys are really pinning their ears back. And I saw Randy Gregory put Donovan Smith on his ass with the bull rush early and was like, the backups are coming in and looking like this, man. It's going to be really, really tough sledding. I didn't want to count out the possibility. I didn't open up FanDuel and place a bet. I didn't do that. But no, I wasn't feeling good. But it was pretty clear when Greenlaw got inexplicably tore his Achilles.
Oh my God!
Running onto the field. That sucks so bad, dude. I can't remember the last time I've ever seen anything like that.
At that stage,
at the Super Bowl stage, for sure.
That is as freak of an injury as I've ever seen.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, Oren Burks is going to be on the field for the rest of the game, along with number 45, maybe if you go in heavy. So I was like, okay, the Chiefs are going to score more than 3 in this half, probably. They just had been coming off the drive, but I don't know. I was like, man, that line, I just don't know. But
the thing that was holding out hope for me was the thing that was holding out hope for me was just because the defense was playing so well. I was like, well, if they could just get one break, then I give them a shot. And that muffed punt at the end of the third quarter was like, okay, they're back in it. That's the spark they needed. And after that, they were basically flawless. There were pretty much no mistakes on offense. Yeah. And they ended all of those drives in points. They went 4 straight drives with points. So at that,
I completely agree. They eventually needed a break. I mean, they got that 49ers fumble early, but they failed to do anything with it. They needed another one. They didn't take enough advantage of that first.
They needed one that put them in really opportune field, but they needed a break.
Yeah. The punting and the special teams. I mean, I guess special teams is really the story of this game. I mean, it felt like every time it was something notable happening, like some crazy punt coverage. Conley, I will forever remember this game as a gunner on special teams. He had a legacy performance. The field goal record getting set and then broken immediately after that by Moody and Bucker. It was really
the muffs.
I don't know why I felt like that was kind
ridiculous.
I don't know why to me it felt like that record was like a little low for a Super Bowl, but I guess it's only
it's not that long.
I mean, it makes sense that it got broken this year, but I mean, it used to be pretty difficult to dial up the 50-yarder and hit it. So it feels easy now, but I really don't think that a 55-yarder would have felt too good even 20 years ago or so.
Do you think teams are also more aggressive on offense in the Super Bowl? Like they're just less likely to take a 50-yarder
in no man's land going for it? I could see that too. I could see that being the cases too, especially recently. This episode of Stay Hot is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, You just pick more or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. And they also now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. A couple weeks ago, I hit a big one on Prize Picks with my Browns versus Jets play with Njoku and Flacco and Breece Hall, and you can too. So head on over to Prize Picks, use the code STAYHOT, and they will double your first deposit, or prizepicks.com/stayhot and use code STAYHOT for a first deposit match up to $100. So what are you waiting for? Head on over there.
Whether you're resolving to save money, eat better, or stress less this new year, HelloFresh has got you covered on all fronts. Picture this: farm fresh ingredients, chef crafted recipes, and everything delivered right to your doorstep. It's the ticket to the most delicious year yet, and it's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Look, I've been using HelloFresh for a while now, and the convenience is unmatched. No more trips to the grocery store. Each HelloFresh box comes packed with pre-portioned ingredients. Cut down the hassle, wasted food, no more. And speaking of variety, HelloFresh's menu is incredible, with over 45 dinner options every single week. Trust me, recipe boredom is not a thing here. And one of my favorite things about HelloFresh is the time it saved me. They handle the meal planning, all the shopping, and all I have to do is open my weekly box and I'm ready to cook with step-by-step recipes. And for those hectic nights, HelloFresh's quick and easy meals, including their 15-minute recipes, are absolute lifesavers. Now, as we're all looking to revamp our eating habits, HelloFresh has got us covered with wholesome, health-forward options, over 30 calorie-smart and protein-smart recipes each week. Yes, please. And here's a little bonus for you. Free breakfast for life. Yes, you heard me right. HelloFresh is giving all subscribers a free breakfast item with every single delivery. That's worth waking up early for. So, my friends, if you're ready to make 2024 your most delicious year yet, go to HelloFresh.com/stayhotfree and use the code STAYHOTFREE for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while the subscription is active. That's HelloFresh.com/stayhotfree with code STAYHOTFREE. And get HelloFresh, America's and Stay Hot's #1 meal kit.
Steph Curry makes you believe that you can do anything. I mean, look at me. He has me believing that I can shoot threes when I play pickup basketball. And the Curry 11s are specifically designed with ultimate bounce, grip, and stability to allow everyone to do their thing. New generations of ball players are coming up and showing the basketball world that the old rules do not apply. The future is exciting, fast, positive, and hungry. This NBA season, rock your favorite player and rep his shoes on and off the court. The Curry 11s are perfect for both the committed and casual ballers. The UA Warp Tech makes the shoe feel like it was designed for your feet, locked in no matter what you do on the court. Stop in your tracks with dual density UA flow cushioning and traction, an emergency brake that you don't even notice. Steph's 11th signature shoe steps into the second decade of his sneaker career, pulling colorway inspiration from the wonders of a positive and modernized future on and off the court. Take these kicks with you when you leave the scrimmage and rep UA wherever you go. Do your thing. Change the game. The Curry 11 Future Curry is available now at currybrand.com.
Well, let me ask you guys this, since we're talking about going for it on fourth down and decisions, because there was a lot of decisions made in this game. There's a lot of choices and options. What did you guys think about the coin toss? We want the ball first in overtime.
I wouldn't want the ball first. I mean,
Really?
Maybe Shanahan has his reasons and like he knows the team better than I do, but I would not want it first. I would want it second. Well, then you just know what you got to do.
I mean, I think your job is the same no matter what, and that's to score as many points as possible.
Well, who had the ball? I mean, I guess the defense had just been on the field, hadn't they? For the
to me, it
49ers.
seemed the debate isn't, if you get the ball first, it's not for the sake of just like, well, we might as well. It's for the sake of having the first shot at the sudden death possession.
But that doesn't exist with a new overtime. Like,
yes, it does. It does.
Oh yeah, I guess it because then the next drive.
Teams. So if you get the ball first and both teams score a touchdown, for instance, then you get the first crack at the sudden death possession. However, if you get the ball second, then you know what the team before you did.
I'd much rather go with the second option. I think that just takes the pressure off of you if you go second.
If
I mean, you can get a stop and be in great position, and if you give one up, then like you get all 4 downs to work with. And I that's what I would prefer. And maybe again, like you said on TikTok, Matt, we haven't really seen this scenario so much, so maybe eventually a better outcome will become clear. But off the top of my head, I would say I'd want the ball second, but the 49ers defense had just been on the field and like they got to rest up to stop Mahomes, right?
That's
like you don't want to send a tired group out there. So I don't blame Shanahan for that or really any of the decisions that he made. I mean, who went for it on 4th? Like,
it's also interesting because
it was a little weird, but
because
go ahead.
Let's say that you go second and the other team has scored a touchdown and you score a touchdown. Do you go for 2 and say, we're calling the game here, we're not letting it go to sudden death because we know you just scored a touchdown?
It's very
possible. Here was my problem. If you're going to go first, I think the idea is we are scared Mahomes is going to score. We don't know if we're going to be able to stop Mahomes. So our game plan is we're going to do our job and we think Mahomes is going to score and then we'll have control of the game in the 3rd possession, essentially. Right. Mm-hmm. And if you don't think it's going to get to a 3rd possession or you're not that concerned with that, take the ball second. Right. If you're going to do that, if that's your mindset, you need to be aggressive on your first drive. And it came down to a 4th and 4 and you didn't go for it. I wonder if that was the wrong decision. And it's
I bet
it's
the
a weird one
analytics would say yes. Like,
but here's the thing: if you go for it and you score and you get the extra point, do the Chiefs try to call game on a 2-point conversion? And are you happy with that? Are you happy with the entire season, your entire legacy coming down to a 2-point conversion? It's a really interesting discussion. I think it's by far the most interesting discussion as far as like the choice a coach can make.
My counter would be the Chiefs scored how many touchdowns in possession, in like regulation?
So then you would want the ball
19,
second.
Right? So they scored 2.
They scored
one and a bunch of field goals, right?
Yeah, it was 1 and a bunch of field goals.
That was that many.
So you would say you'd want the ball second and see what they do.
No, I would want the ball first, and I'm saying I'm okay taking 3 because they did not prove that they could score a touchdown that frequently.
But
you're sleeping on Mahomes at the end of there, buddy.
Am I
no. But that doesn't make any sense. I mean, but then they know what they need, and you just took a field goal, and now they know how they can win it.
I guess.
Like I don't know. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong
one
way or the other. It's very, very easy to say hindsight 2020. Like you had a down and distance that was a coin toss, and you played it conservative. If you knew what the Chiefs had done, you wouldn't have done that. That's the advantage of taking it second. Like it exactly reared its head. And then the Chiefs, they got aggressive on a 4th and 1, which I thought was a great play call. And they picked it up. Oh yeah, because it was to go to that play call, 4th and 1, season on the line, right? Most important play of the entire year, you could argue. And I looked at my friends and I'm like, something to Kelsey in the flat, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's what I'm calling the game on. And to be like, yeah, that's probably what everybody's thinking. We're going to have Kelsey go out in the flat and then Mahomes roll out. And it's like an option. So where if it comes available, he'll be able to hit it. If not, Mahomes can pick up the one with his legs.
Like the perfect
fantastic.
RPO. Fantastic.
Yeah, I thought Reed was really in his bag. The play call to get the deep shot to Hardman was awesome. The touchdown to Valdez-Scantling was awesome. The switch release right up the seam. They had another one. They had a deep hole shot where they disguised the cover 2, but they still had that high-low. That's perfect for it. Dialed up. Like I thought Andy outcoached Kyle Shanahan. And while we're talking about Shanahan and the decisions that he made, it's tough, man. And my takeaway more than anything that happened here is like he's just kind of addicted to picking kind of mid quarterbacks a little bit. He really
I thought Purdy played fine.
Yeah, he played fine.
But like, what more would you have had him do? Like,
play great, hit the shot to Deebo Samuel that was wide open. I get that Chris Jones had pressure, but that he was wide open. I mean, he left Snead in the dust. You could have underthrown that and let him come back to hit. And if he doesn't catch it, that's his fault. But he didn't even give him a chance there. And yeah, I mean, Chris Jones was in his face, but that's one where I was like,
does Mahomes make that throw though? Like,
yeah, I totally think Mahomes is like gives you a better chance than Purdy does. I get that it was under pressure. I don't want to like put all of this at the feet of Purdy because it's not. But I mean, there were opportunities I thought to hit some big throws and make some plays, and I just didn't think that he delivered in the way that Mahomes did. I mean, it wasn't bad.
I don't know. I mean, like, I think what it comes down to is you have an offensive line that is not that good across the board. You can attack the run, and you have a quarterback who is, not bad. I really don't want to turn this into a Purdy hate thing, but can be pressured and things can happen, and is not super elite. So there's ways that the run game and the pass game can really, really fail for you. And today you saw that. I thought Purdy was maybe a little bit more good than bad overall.
Yeah, he didn't play
bad. Especially on that last drive, the throw to McCaffrey and the flat.
Yep.
That was big time.
Yeah.
That was incredibly big time. I thought for sure he was cooked. And he had multiple, really, the one to Juszczyk, another really good one, which I'm very proud of them for calling that a catch.
Yeah, I don't know what the big fuss was there.
I thought for sure they were going to review it and overturn it.
The big fuss was he didn't complete it to the ground, but he made a football move in the air. And you don't usually see that. But yeah, it was a catch because he made a football move.
Des Bryant tweeted out, not a catch.
Didn't they kind of adjust that rule after the Des thing, though?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. It's like the foot. So
Des still dropped it. Was either they changed the rule to make it a catch later.
Who was the Jesse James, the Steelers tight end? That was the other play that was in that.
I mean, Des dropped it and Juszczyk caught it. It's just that simple.
And don't let Des hear that.
McCaffrey, 22 carries, 80 yards is just tough. And that's particularly true when you think about the first drive, where I wonder how much of that came from. And then you end it with a fumble. I think overall their rushing game was like really bad outside of very early on.
Yeah, they tried to get under center a good bit and just couldn't really run the ball from those looks.
Well, the Chiefs seemed very aggressive, and this is what everybody was saying. I saw Ruiz ask somebody some question. It's like, oh, we just wanted to make Purdy throw the ball. That was their whole game plan. It's like, well, we're not going to let McCaffrey just run on us and the 49ers do that. And we should have known going into this game, like, well, the Chiefs are going to at least make sure that's not how they lose. If they go out because Purdy goes and throws 400 yards, okay. But we're sitting here talking like, well, I would get McCaffrey going. I'd get McCaffrey going too. It's like the Chiefs are probably ready for that. If they were, and that's maybe my new football theory. If me and the fellas can be like, maybe they should do this, I bet you the coaches are going to try to stop that already.
Well, that's Kelsey though, right? Like, who came up big in this game? Who was the Chiefs receiving yards leader? It's not Kelsey,
Yeah. I mean, how many yards did Kelsey have at halftime?
Kelsey didn't go to Cincinnati, though. McCaffrey didn't go to Cincinnati.
McCaffrey didn't go to Cincinnati.
So he can be game planned against quite easily.
I'll say this, bro. When he got pissed at Reed and he had 1 yard and it looked like the Chiefs were going to lose, I thought this would be like a legacy Armageddon for Travis Kelce with the Taylor Swift stuff and her being at the game. And you're like, dude, no way we're going out like this. Him stepping the hell up.
Dude, he moved faster than he had in 7 years on that catch on third down.
The one
that's because
what is in that booster shot, man? If this was cycling, we'd be having conversations. We really would be. But I mean, I don't know how he looked so much better in the playoffs. He was like amazing
in an election year.
Hey, No, I mean, he balled out these whole playoffs. Like he said, he turned back the clock. Like I said, I don't know how. I don't know how.
What was his stat line from the last game? Because he had 10 targets and 9 catches today. Didn't he against the Ravens?
I think he had 11 catches.
Yeah, he was 11 for 11
game.
on the last one.
Yeah.
So he was 11 for 11. What was he in the Bills game? I don't know if
he had 2 touchdowns in the Bills game.
I don't mean to scratch my chin. 6 for 5 or 5 for 6. I mean
6 for 5.
Well, do you mind? I'm going to check the Dolphins game here too.
Yeah, go for
why
it.
Not? He was 10 for 7. That's good. That's still really good, but it's not quite like he only had 2 targets not caught the entire.
Well, the Ravens game is one of the all-time tight end games. I mean, 11 for 11 and to come up in the moments that he
wanted
came
it to be
up,
like perfect
against
man.
Kyle.
I wanted it to be. He's
not quite, buddy.
That Kyle Hamilton, that catch he had against Kyle Hamilton's one of the greats, man. That shit was, well, I don't want to say what it was really darn good, man.
He's got so many.
At the end of regulation, they tried to get the same shit on Fred Warner. They tried to get the exact same thing on the other side with Fred Warner.
So badly. You have no idea, man.
Instead, we got the Mecole Hardman game-winning touchdown,
right?
Like we all expected.
The
Chiefs have done it twice in a row. They've traded for like the most mid-wide receiver imaginable, but the trade will always be worth it because they had like the biggest play in the Super Bowl. Although that touchdown at the end of Hardman wasn't actually the biggest play, but still, I was proud of him, man. He was just sucked. Like, he was just not a good addition, but they stuck by him, and then all of a sudden, he's their best wide receiver. Like he had the big catch, really, and that's like
their best wide receiver was Rashee Rice.
Well, yeah, over the course of the year, but in this game, like
Rice was great in this game too.
Yeah, Rice was good, but none of the receivers did too crazy much. I'm just saying, like, good for Hardman. I don't want to make this
back without Tyreek, man. This is crazy stuff,
dude. I hadn't felt like this after watching a Chiefs victory before. I mean, it felt like they just came out and robbed
with
something.
Your ex and you watch them go on to like get married and get $1 billion. Like that's exactly.
Yeah, I mean, imagine being Travis Kelce has some people who knew him and fell out of touch who are like, shit. Now he's like the most successful man in America right now. But I don't know, and it felt like Mahomes was even shocked that it happened. In his post-game interview, he was like, he looked pale, like kind of panicked, like he was not cool, calm, collected. He was like, holy shit, like we just.
Well, because they asked him like, is it officially a dynasty? And he said, well, it's the start of one.
Yeah, I mean, 3. I say even 2 Super Bowls and an appearance on top of that is pretty hard to call anything other than a dynasty, right? This has the potential to go down as one of the all-time greats, right? And their run right now of like 6 years is matched by the Patriots in that 5-year run. Did they make the conference finals every single year?
They probably did.
Maybe the
Patriots are crazy because they did this.
Know.
The Patriots are crazy because they did this twice. They got 3, and then they went a decade, and then they got 3 again.
I'm saying it a 5-6 year stretch.
But yeah, they matched. I mean, maybe the Cowboys in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Did anybody? I'm not sure. How many did the Cowboys
Montana
get?
has
maybe?
4.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Pittsburgh in the 70s, maybe. I don't know. We could speculate without looking it up.
Right.
But like, I don't know if there's anybody who's been better than what they've done, man.
I mean, it's in 5 years, the rings for the 49ers went in 81, 84, and then, 88 and 89. So it was more spread out than what this is. What about 8?
I think what's craziest about this is how different the teams look between like all 3 Super Bowls. Right. I think that's the thing that's so jarring. It's like they've been through so many different iterations of receivers. And, this is the 1 year where their defense has been good. Like when the Patriots
What are you talking about? This is the same team as last year's Super Bowl.
The receivers are different.
I guess. I don't think it looks completely different than what they were doing last year.
Completely different, but the defense is better than it was last year.
The defense was pretty damn good. They were like number one post bye. Like they were playing like this in the playoffs.
4 touchdowns in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right about that. But the Chiefs defense was pretty locked in.
Different starters there really are.
Maybe not different starters, but in terms of like different, like the Patriots, it was like great defense every year, and
yeah, that has really changed. I mean, Mahomes got one with a worse defense than it was definitely very like when you watch the Super Bowl from 2019.
Yes,
it definitely feels different because of Tyreek. But these past two, I mean, they've been getting it done.
Well, at one point they had the Tyreek and they had all that stuff, and they had a receiver room that was like maybe not amazing, but it had like a real number one, and then a bunch of other guys who fit well. Whereas now their last couple of Super Bowls, and particularly this one, have been the defense is amazing, and we have Mahomes. And yeah, the tackles aren't great, and yeah, the receivers aren't great, but that's going to be enough, you know. And I said earlier, you know, it's almost like I remember the 2015 Panthers, where it's a really great team across the board, and the quarterback's really good, and you have a tight end, but having weak tackles and weak receivers, it comes back to bite, you know, like that gets you, man. And it did get them in this game. Like Bosa and Young played fantastic, and the receivers were not particularly good. Not really. And they won it anyway. You know, they found a way.
I mean, Mahomes is just better now than he was then. Andy Reid, Theo, like you mentioned, his play calling was, I mean, in the second half was really special.
And then the fumbles and whatnot.
I mean, the Chiefs recovered 6 of 7 fumbles.
Damn.
They also. I'm a big believer.
Is that that's not in this game? It can't be. That must be over the course of the playoff run.
No, that was in this game.
Right now.
No, I think
was this game, but it considers the bad snaps fumbles.
Good point.
Yeah. Okay. I think a lot of times, and this is my opinion with the whole like the Patriots are so lucky when they had Brady, and that now it's like the Chiefs are so lucky. You know, they do have a lot of lucky moments in big games, but that's because they're in big games a lot. They're not actually particularly more lucky, although the Chiefs did get some great fumble breaks this year. But other years, you don't get those breaks, and you have some untimely drops from your best players, or you have somebody line up offsides when it totally didn't matter on a game-sealing play. Those are like bad luck plays, right? And I'm sure in the future they'll have some years where it doesn't work out and some years where it does. So I don't believe they're particularly lucky, although maybe you could argue they have been in this run. But every Super Bowl run is particularly lucky. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like they faced poor opponents. I mean, think about what the Eagles.
That's the other thing, though.
They were nothing lucky about it with this dynasty, and I think the thing I keep coming back to is like how many times have they beat teams where like the roster looks better on paper, but do they have more Hall of Famers? And that's really what it comes down to is like these rosters are better than the other rosters because Mahomes is the GOAT, Kelsey is the GOAT, like Chris Jones is like one of the greatest playoff defenders that we've seen. Spags is like the GOAT, and Reed is the GOAT offensive mind. It really, when you put it all together, and it took me too long to realize is like, yeah, there are holes in certain places that like no team has a unit as bad as maybe the Chiefs do at tackle or whatever. But like they're just so overwhelmingly powerful at so many important positions that
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Guys with superpowers. Let me ask you guys. It's not about the most even team. It's about the team maybe with the highest peaks more so. And all of their guys are incredible playoff ballers, dude. Mahomes just takes it up another notch. Kelsey, if he doesn't retire like right now, he's going to go down as the all-time greatest playoff receiving threat. Chris Jones, I mean, what can you even say, man? Tons of plays this game where it's like, thank God Chris Jones is on the field, right?
Yeah, he had a real shot at MVP. I don't know if he had a sack. Steelers fans, let me know. Let's check the Chris Jones box score here.
I don't think because there was only one sack on Purdy. And I think it was
0 sacks
and Justin Reed.
I think it was Karlaftis or maybe I'm not
a 0 sack game.
Right,
look, 0 versus the Ravens and 0 versus the Bills. This man disappeared in the playoffs.
He's mid. That's what I'm hearing.
According to a fan base that I know something about.
We can't check the pressure rate. Can't check the
no. I mean, that's just he hypothetically bothered Purdy on some of these throws when he was like chasing him around and like getting in his face and stuff. Like, but who's to say if that actually impacted what Purdy was doing?
You know, the time he overthrew Debo, that was it's just because Purdy stinks, not because
Chris Jones had nothing to do with that play at all. Yeah, he was amazing. He was amazing.
So let me ask you guys this.
McDuffie was pretty amazing too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, going forward, McDuffie was great. Going forward, we're picking Mahomes to win MVP and the Chiefs to win Super Bowl. Chiefs to win the Super Bowl until they prove otherwise, right?
We'll see what goes down in the offseason. But I would say that Mahomes, and I mean this unironically, so when I say it, I don't want any laughing. It's not funny. Mahomes is now due to win an MVP. Usually after you win a title like this, now people are going to be like, oh, we didn't give it to him last year, and he actually kind of was the most valuable player. So 100% that's going to happen. I'm not making that up. That happens in awards all the time. So, yeah, my pick for next year, Mahomes MVP. And
I mean, unless they get noticeably worse, but like their defense looks good.
We'll see. They might lose Chris Jones as a free agent. And that would be bad. And they need to do everything within their power. And the thing is that like they should make him the highest paid defensive player. I know we said this about Tyreek. You cannot replace him. There is absolutely no possible way. And they've got cap space even before restructuring guys, which they should be hyper aggressive about.
Dog, Kelsey should take a $1 deal.
If he's, his
literally what could he restructure, dude? $1. You're dating a billionaire, and you could have one if you could have $1 billion if he put his grind like I don't even know. I mean, he could be bigger than every Barstool podcast. Like he could be on the WWE. I mean, he could run. He could run for president.
Marry Taylor Swift and
take a $1 deal, Kelsey. $1.
That's what Brady did. That is, and it's not he's only getting paid $15 million next year. That's pretty team friendly. That's pretty team friendly already. I'm just saying it is.
It is. Yeah, I mean, he could be making
his average cap hit has been like right around 10 million over the last 5 years. That's pretty darn good, man.
Who are the biggest?
Yeah, that's true. I can't remember when was the last time he signed a big extension? Why do I never remember a Travis Kelce extension dropping?
I don't know. I honestly have no idea. You go look at those big contracts on the Chiefs, though. We're seeing Juwan Taylor coming in at number 3 in their contracts, and it gets very spooky.
It's obviously not. We're gonna pick the Chiefs forever and ever, like until Mahomes retires. Like no, right? I mean,
mainly because that's lame. Like maybe I'll probably be right more often than not. And I picked against the Chiefs and Mahomes in this game, and I'm not really mad at that though. It's like all right, yeah, I guess.
I mean, it went to overtime. What did I say? If I'm a good analyst, the game will be close. More than like,
I think we were all.
But I was right, and you were wrong, Matt. And haha, fuck you.
This isn't like you, please.
Hey, Theo, you had the game having like 60 total points. So,
how far off was I really?
And it had 47.
It got there in the end. 10 points in overtime saved me from it not being visibly low scoring when I said it. I took that into account, though. I was only I didn't think there would be so many mistakes.
Anticipating an overtime game, and
I was anticipating the 49ers to score on their opening drive instead of McCaffrey fumbling, and then I was anticipating Mahomes leading a touchdown drive out of the second half instead of throwing that pick, and that's where I went wrong. But the rest.
How many games has it? I mean. How many games has it been since Mahomes has been sacked 3 times? And then games?
Really interestingly, he was only sacked for 8 yards of total loss.
That's weird. It's weird because I think one of them was when he like stepped up to run, and he got like.
Mahomes is so goated even in the 3-stack games. I'm like, damn.
But he got how many games has been since he's been sacked?
You can't
3
stand
times
listening to this podcast.
If you hate Mahomes, you can't stand watching the NFL these days, man. I'm glad that I'm not pushing that agenda.
My Bengals bros out there, it's tough. I know it's tough. I really do appreciate not being in a position where I would dislike Mahomes. Like if I was like a Chargers fan or a Raiders fan or something, man, that would suck.
Just in the AFC in general, man. Like,
well, I'm a Browns fan, but I can still appreciate watching.
Well, you're not a contender in the AFC.
Stop, man.
What?
Yeah, I'm as a Panthers fan, Mahomes' success is never really like been that big of a deal to me.
If Mahomes was sending you home every year, look, you'd feel about them as I feel about the 49ers as a Packers fan. And like, it's silly.
The 49ers I shouldn't never won care. Anything.
Yeah, but they always fucking beat us. So it's like when they get beat, I'm like, at least it's not them. I don't know. Like they're just always, I'm mad at them. I'm mad at them for always sending us home. I don't want great things to happen to them. Maybe I should let go of that, but until they stop owning my team in the playoffs every single year, I wouldn't have been mad if they won because I do want Kyle Shanahan to get one eventually. But
just wait till the Browns get Chubb back. We'll knock off Mahomes, and all will be right in the world.
I'm very,
but yeah. If I was a Bills fan, a Ravens fan, I mean, what other a Bengals fan?
I mean, really, if you're a Niners fan.
Or a Patriots fan who's like maybe rooting for him not to catch Brady. Like there's a bunch of fan bases that I think could validly hate Mahomes, but I'm glad I'm not in them.
All right, so here's a question for you fellas.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the 49ers look next season?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk more about, the 49ers side of this. First, I want to flip the question. Mm-hmm. We talked a bit about Purdy, agreed that he played good, not great. We talked about how they didn't really get the run game going. Like what really hurt them in this game? You know, like why did they lose? If it wasn't quite because of Purdy, where do you think the biggest issues were?
Injury was really bad. That was a really brutal one. The offensive line was not particularly strong in this game, and outside of Trent Williams, I didn't think they had their best game. And
on the broadcast, it didn't appear that Trent had
an elite,
the greatest.
I was going to
game
say
of his
Trent
career
wasn't playing particular. I saw him on the ground a couple of times. He had a couple early penalties.
On the broadcast, I agree. Like the line, McCaffrey looked like he was ready to play, but there wasn't a lot of breathing room on that line.
No,
I also thought
McCaffrey played real well.
I thought Wilkes started out really strong and then faded a bit down the stretch. I thought he dialed up that blitz against Mahomes on third down, and it's like you just can't do that, dude. You just
and it's like, and it was just such like a straight. It was just such a straight blitz. It's like, bro, it's got to be something more creative. He's just going to backpedal and he's going to hit it.
Like he just doesn't care about it at all. So he wasn't dialing up the blitz, and I think that they got to look at when they're looking at the parts to swap in and out. If they can upgrade a defensive coordinator, I said I owed him an apology. I said I was jealous of Steve Wilkes at about halftime of this game, but man, at the end there, I do think that he choked a little bit.
It's a very tough one. You got
firing him would be tough, though. I mean.
Man, and that guy has had brutal breaks with getting fired early, hasn't he?
He has. I think that Cardinals
wasn't his fault, and the defense was good.
If he stays,
for the
they
49ers
need to adjust some things on defense. I feel like it just feels a bit disconnected in terms of like you bring in this defensive coordinator, but there's a certain way they do things in San Francisco. There's a certain way they play football with the 4 down stuff. And I just think that there might need to be a little bit more versatility and cohesion starting to get mixed in. I mean, I just don't know if you can be static forever. You got to change some variable, and it's tough to upgrade this roster because it's so good right now. I'm not saying that it was a huge mistake to play like they have these last couple years, but I am saying you can't stick with something forever. And part of why they lost this game, maybe part of why they struggled on defense at points this season, even though they upgraded the defensive line, is their defensive philosophy that could use some tweaking, whether that be a coaching change or just we're going to reassign, who gets to design what and how much outside input is getting added to what they, have done for a long time now. I could see those conversations starting to happen as opposed to, we're just going to stick doing the same old Niners defense again. So that's something that could change, and something that I thought cost them the game to some extent. The offensive line, to your point, Matt, like their star player is super old and the rest are kind of replacement level. So that's a big problem. Purdy's staying.
Purdy, we could sit here and be like, it's sorry, dude, it's not going to change.
They have bigger needs than replacing Purdy.
They have far more replaceable needs. Like, where are you going to find the quarterback better than Purdy, and then also pay him, and then also like trade? Like, come on. And I certainly think they could have won this game if they had been running it better, if the defense maybe stepped a little bit more. I'm guessing they're just going to be super aggressive restructuring, guys. Would be my hot take. They're probably I think they're about dead even with cap space. The big guy is Chase Young, who they're going to have to re-sign. I think it's doable. I don't think he's going to be the most expensive player in the world. And they do have a lot of picks. They're sitting on plenty, so they can choose to be aggressive or do whatever they want to do, or trade the first round pick, or whatever. But the offensive line's got to be addressed, and maybe you do something on that defense. And now you've got the Greenlaw injury, which maybe is something you have to look at.
That's going to bleed into next year a little bit if it's Achilles. Well, it is Achilles.
And it's Achilles, so it's like it's one of those ones where it's, man, not even when are you going to come back, but how are you going to come back, right? What's that going to look like? And if he's not good to go, we saw tonight. It's a huge problem. You could argue the biggest strength of that defense is him and Warner.
And it's tough to find a linebacker who plays as well as those
strong
guys.
Off-ball linebacker. Yeah, dude, there's about one every 4 teams in today's NFL.
To be fair, they did find Greenlaw in like the 5th and Warner in like the 3rd round. So maybe they can.
And they're sitting on 3 6ths and 2 4s and 2 3rds. They've got ammo.
Maybe they can definitely find it. It's it's not even about replacing Greenlaw at that point. It's like, even if Greenlaw comes back, you need some depth there. The fact that the other guys behind Greenlaw and Warner are just like,
I don't know what teams got good off-ball linebackers in the rotation. For off-ball linebacker.
I guess that's fair. Maybe you would just I don't know.
It definitely feels like a team where, how these Shanahan style teams build it out, where they really value the late picks and they think volume over just a bunch of high stuff. They need maybe a hit or two more in the late round. They got to find another thing. Because I think just straight spending, they're kind of capped out. I think they can get back Chase Young. Who knows how aggressive they'll be. I do feel like they're better positioned to be good next year than maybe the average Super Bowl loser. But
we'll see if they even want to bring back Chase Young.
Yeah, you think they'll pass on that?
I don't know. They brought him in, I think, for this type. I mean, they spent a second on him, so it would be a pretty huge sunk cost. But we'll see. They did give up a third. He did go for less than. I got him and Montez Sweat mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
I got him and Montez Sweat mixed up.
I don't know. But you immediately have a problem with the other edge. I thought Chase was good this game. I thought he was real good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not as bad as the fans say, but I don't know. I just wonder.
I think it's going to come down to price, man. It's like, I'd want him back, but he might be a guy who takes another 1-year prove-it deal, and he is a little bit Jadeveon Clowney-esque in the sense where it's like he's this super talent, was drafted super high. He's definitely good, but he hasn't had like the big-time season where it's like, okay, well, now I can pay you all this money. And until you do that, I mean, like, who's going to go give Chase Young a massive
he's kind
contract?
And look at it happens with Yannick Ngakoue. I feel like you see it with edge rushers where they kind of become mercenaries. Like they're just not quite good enough to give a whole contract to, but they're definitely good enough to sign. I don't think that it's off the table that they traded for him and now they sign him, but I also think that he could potentially not be back, and they say like we'll keep that money for a rainy day, something else that's not Chase Young. They don't have any other big free agents though, so yeah, I guess Jawan Jennings, who they should almost certainly bring back.
Yes, I mean if they had won, he would have been MVP, man.
That would have been awesome. That would have been such a cool MVP. It's really a shame.
What about the secondary? They're already kind of old at safety with Gibson.
Well, they're getting Hufanga back back next year, and then Brown is probably ready to be a starter now. He's had a pretty up and down rookie season in the playoffs even, but overall played pretty well today outside of the deep bomb, which he probably could have broken up.
Yeah.
If you were to play that a million times, you would get a few of those. But I think they're fine there, even if Gibson retires. They probably could use another boundary corner. They benched Ambry Thomas after getting picked on all playoffs. I kept saying like he's a guy to look at, and then they moved Lenore over there and then put Ryan, number 33, the veteran, in the slot. So they didn't even bother with Ambry Thomas in this one to make him a weakness. Yeah, it was definitely getting into count the good players territory on defense there by the end once Greenlaw got down, and outside corner linebacker. I think potentially another piece along the defensive line if they do rotate in a lot and Chase might not stay. So I could see that. And then offensive line, but I think the main thing is you just got to keep tweaking the scheme, and you need to jump from Purdy. You need to jump from Purdy to the point where you can just send him out there and it feels like he doesn't even need the plays. And that's what it feels like with Mahomes, right? Like it feels like Mahomes can change whatever he wants, and mid-route he can adjust and he can break tackles and make things happen. And that's what it feels like with all the top guys. And Purdy just doesn't feel like Brady when you see him out there. You just doesn't feel like he's in complete, total control of what's going on around him. And that's what – and you can be that and a pocket passer, right? And Purdy is he's got the Bryce Young thing where he's a bit small and like he's just not quite as good at breaking tackles and making plays out of structure as some of the top guys, even though he is very fast and athletic. I think somehow, some way you need another jump from him. And it really can't come in terms of better weapons next year. That'll spur the jump. Mm-hmm. A better offensive line could do it, but you need him to somehow take another leap and be an MVP candidate at the end and like be in a position to win the award, really. And he was almost there this year. Is he maxed out like in this season or does he have another level in him? I think that's kind of what the 49ers future comes down to, along with evolving defensively a little bit.
Maybe, but I mean, he was definitely better this year than he was last year.
No, I'm not. It's only his second year in the league, man. I mean, Purdy could be better than this. It's not impossible. You can continue to get better after your second year. The weapons are all pretty young. Debo had a pretty bad game tonight, I'd say, and he got banged up. But he's nowhere near the end of his career. Neither is Ayuk, neither is McCaffrey, neither is Juszczyk, neither is Kittle. Trent Williams maybe though, so that's pretty big. But
yeah, the O-line's going to be tricky. But
we'll see if they can stay in front of the Packers for control of the NFC. I don't think they can now that I'm listing it all off. I think the Love Dynasty is upon us now.
Yeah. But you got to get past the Goff Dynasty in Detroit first.
Oh.
Worry about winning your division, then you can talk about the Super Bowl.
It was just a little 1 year break. Just a little 1 year break.
Fair enough. Well, I don't know. Well, we'll ask this question before we get out. Where does this rank among recent Super Bowls just in terms of entertaining to watch? If you're not a 49ers fan, of course.
yeah, I wasn't going to. That's not where my head was at. Yeah, it's terrible because I felt so bad for the 49ers fans.
Yeah, no.
It's pretty good. I mean, the legacy run that the Chiefs have been on, we talked about it at the top of the show, like all the teams they beat to get here, for it to go to overtime, for it to be won with 3 seconds left in overtime. Yeah. It's pretty tough to beat. But there have been a lot of good Super Bowls recently. Is it better than 28-3 as a game? Probably not.
Well, yeah, probably not.
Is it better than the one that came down to the pick 6 or the pick at the end at the 1 yard line?
The Seahawks versus New England. Patriots have 2 in there, man. That's
I don't know. Is it? I was a little bit. Last year was pretty damn good. I do think this game was.
I think this one was better than last year's.
Was even more exciting than last year's, and last year's was a great one. It was a little bit more exciting than Rams versus Cincy, even though that one was just as close.
That one was great too.
That was a great game.
So far, I mean, I'm feeling top 3 in like recent memory. Those 2 Patriots
good
ones,
game, but most of the recent Super Bowls have been. To be real with you.
It was pretty good. I don't know. I don't know exactly. It's tough to put a ranking on like how much I enjoyed each game. It's tough for me to remember, especially going back before I was Theo Ash NFL, you know, like I just consumed the sport differently. It's my favorite Super Bowl that I've watched as an official
voice
journalist
of the NFL.
How
does this compare to Super Bowl 50?
How does it compare to the Super Bowl the Browns have played in, douchebag? Your team is fucking horrible, dog. What have you ever won, man?
4 awards.
Pre-Vietnam. Yeah, pre-Vietnam phony championships and 4 awards that if they had been voted on 1 week later. Yeah, you guys were going crazy in what, like the Ford administration or whatever.
How does this one compare to the old?
Get away from me, man.
The great game of the AFC Championship in 47. Ever go back and watch those highlights or listen to them?
There should be a rule after 50 years, you got to take the banner down.
That'll probably. Do you think the Lakers will still have their play-in tournament banner hanging in 50 years?
Oh yeah, man, it's too late now. You can't take that shit down. Maybe like new owners come in and they could change that shit up. I'm not going to live quite long enough to see this, but one thing I always want to see is like, are the Celtics going to get to a point where they can't retire numbers anymore? They have to be like, sorry, bro, your shit is unretired now, because they have like 20 numbers, and it's not even like there's 100 numbers to choose from really in basketball, because dudes will not sign with you if you're making them wear 72, right?
Maybe what happens is when a team has a certain number of numbers retired, you just retire the team.
The Celtics have been too good. They're going in the rafters. We're bringing.
They get their logo. We're
promoting G League at night
and a salute.
It's their time.
Yeah, and we just have one less team, and then someone makes a new team eventually, or we like get a new expansion team in a new city.
100 years from now, we're just watching it all play out in like virtual reality, and we're just wiping
on the Apple.
The numbers
Vision
are going to be
Pro.
like shapes and stuff, and there's not going to be any banners because we're all just going to start fresh.
I think the numbers are. I don't think jersey numbers are going anywhere.
How much money are you paying to be in the virtual Cleveland Browns stadium?
I'm not paying any money. I'm just putting a chip in my brain, and when the game starts, it's transporting me there in the metaverse, like against my will.
I'm gonna be getting zapped. I'm gonna be
right there. And then I'm watching the Mutant Cyborg. This is the era after the Mutant Cyborg era. This is the metaverse.
The metaverse
football era where players can like fly.
Played in the metaverse too, or is it?
Well, at this point, the game would probably hardly resemble football. But something will be being played.
It'll just be Madden.
I don't even think it would be. I think maybe there could be some element of like throwing and catching in between zones. But if you played it 200 years from now in the metaverse, there would probably be a ton of other adjustments, like flying maybe, like would the physical aspect be there? Would there be like a gun involved that you could shoot with?
Like I think this is just the Mario football team all over again.
Yeah, exactly. Like it will be the Mario football team basically. Like in Ready Player One, everybody will just be Mario. But yeah, I think maybe then it's time to take the banners down. I think that stadiums will just become obsolete and we'll just all be like plugged in basically.
They're gonna repurpose stadiums into shitty apartments and
yeah, they're gonna make it a crypto mining facility. I don't know, but anyway, we're far off from
yes,
the 2024 Super Bowl,
and I think that's our cue to wrap up another pretty great NFL season. 2023, 2024 in the books. It's time to get ready for combine stuff, the draft. We'll probably be pretty heavy on that. In the coming weeks.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I mean, that's all we have left, man.
We ain't got shit else to talk about.
I got shit else. Yeah.
Well, we got the NBA. We gotta.
Well, you guys already know the only NBA game I've watched is that one time we had the Cavs and
you did not watch that one. Then.
You're right. I got like. But hey. I tried.
And now it's a Hornets podcast from now until.
Oh yeah,
from now until September.
I mean, to the reception to the Hornets last game is some of the funniest shit I've ever seen NBA wise.
I must have missed that, man. I didn't see the Hornets dialogue on my timeline. What were they saying?
Well, the Hornets, they traded all these players at the deadline for all these new players. And beforehand, the Hornets had like a bench made up of entirely like non-NBA level guys. Like, okay, this center is like dead last in EPM in the entire NBA. This guy can't defend at all. This guy can't like pass at all. That type of stuff. And they get all these new dudes in like Trey Mann and Grant Williams and like Seth Curry. It's like, and these are, better than what we had, but not great. And they go out and they beat like the Grizzlies, the most injured team in the NBA, to move to like 11-41 or whatever the hell. And Hornets fans are like,
the rebuild.
And the Hornets fans are like, 10 games out of the play-ins is like not undoable, bro. I can't believe we got like 5 good rotation players at the deadline, which we maybe got 1 or 2. I don't know if we got 5. They were just killing me.
No, you got 5. You got 5.
I enjoyed some dialogue on Twitter that I saw after the game. I'd asked where Chris Jones ranks amongst defensive tackles. And I saw a 49ers profile picture say, he's pretty good, but I'm not counting this one because it's got the script asterisk. I was like, the what asterisk?
The script is crazy.
I have to take 1 defensive tackle win away from Chris Jones.
None of the other Chiefs wins have the script asterisk, but this game, unfortunately, we're going to have to look back on as being bought and paid for by George Soros. So this one doesn't count in Chris Jones's book.
Insane. Well,
I don't know. I'm trying to think of who I don't mean to ramble. I'm just trying to think of who the 49ers would be aggressive towards getting, because that's what they do.
What if the 49ers signed Chris Jones?
That would be pretty crazy.
I think the Chiefs could tag him before that happens, and then they'd have to trade for him. And I'm guessing the Chiefs would be like, nah, man. They also already have 2 defensive tackles they're spending at, but I would not be shocked if they get aggressive in some way. I just can't think of who it would be for.
Hold on. I got to ask a question. Halftime show. What did you think?
It was okay.
I'm not the
biggest
solo.
Usher guy.
I thought the dance moves were ridiculously good. I thought the choreography was pretty special, but as far as the set list that he can put together versus some other people, it doesn't have quite the same aura as past shows.
I saw a lot of people say
he was hitting that.
I mean,
he was hitting that shit. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Actually, the choreography was good. I thought he wasn't lip syncing. I thought you could kind of hear his voice.
No, he was really going for it, and I was very impressed. But I'm like, dang, man, I couldn't do that.
I was moved by Usher's performance.
Right now?
I did not
45.
think it was. I did not 45. Think that he was mid at all. I thought he kind of cooked.
I'm half that, and I don't got that in me, so
I couldn't hit a single move that he.
I just don't. I'm not a big Usher guy.
I know what you're saying.
Lana Del Rey was at the game. And
LeBron, they could have performed together.
Lana Del Rey and LeBron.
Lana Del Rey featuring LeBron.
Throw something together in 30 minutes. I'm taking that 10 out of 10 times.
All she needs is a microphone. I mean, she's so beautiful. Like, we don't need all the crazy moves. Not that Usher
you don't need to plan anything or choreograph it. Nah, just her and a mic. No musicians.
A cute outfit.
I'm sure she'd kill it. I'm positive. Yeah, man. So, but I thought Usher was fine. I'm never a guy who's like, this halftime performance was fucking awful. I hate this one so much. Like, I don't know.
I think there have been some pretty good ones. Bad ones.
I don't know. I just like okay. Well, what have been the bad ones?
I don't know. I've seen bad live performances. Like, I feel like most times I listen. Think about what Jack Harlow did, right? Like, that was a halftime show. That wasn't a Super Bowl halftime show, but usually these that
was one of the funniest halftime shows.
Usually when I see
a little igloo and all right.
Usually when I see featuring a live musical performance, like before the game, after the game, at an awards show, usually it just doesn't hit great. I guess SNL always does a concert and it's awesome, so it's possible. But when you get all these choreography things and big stars, I think it's easy to make it sound lame, like with auto-tune and just performative. I had a lot of respect for Usher to actually go out there, and I mean, I'm sure if you were a dancer and watch the tape on what Usher was doing, you'd probably be like, that's fucking crazy. I don't know. I don't know dance, I guess, but damn,
put out a ranking for halftime shows, but I don't have the Athletics.
He was better than Rihanna last year, I'll say that.
A lot of people love that Rihanna performance.
Rihanna was good.
But most people have Prince as number one, as the best one ever.
Well, I never really watched that one. I know what happened.
While we're on the subject, real quick, any commercials move you? No.
Dude, I didn't pay attention to a single one. People who watch for the commercials are like, man, they are not that funny.
I mean, I saw them. I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't in front of my TV, although, I'm half on Twitter.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was not moved this year.
Nor should you be, I think. I mean, I don't think... Have you guys ever been moved by the commercial? I just feel like every year people are like, the commercials suck this year. And I'm always like, yeah, I think I agree. I didn't have fun watching the commercials.
There have been some memorable commercials before. I don't remember
a commercial can be funny.
Tonight.
It can be funny, but they just aren't consistently.
The puppy monkey baby, that was funny.
That sucked. That one fucking was ass.
That one was funny. That was funny,
it was annoying, and then everybody remembered it. I was not laughing up a storm for puppy monkey
but you
baby.
Remembered it, didn't you? So it was a good commercial.
Yeah, because everyone fucking talked about it. I don't know. I mean, I remember
a good commercial.
What was the punchline there?
Puppy monkey baby. I don't know.
You know the joke's good when you ask what the punchline is. Somebody goes,
dude, it's puppy monkey baby, bro. I don't know.
Look, I'm trying.
I truly do not have. I thought the players flying around like the Eagles and the Falcons and whatnot, but that's just because it was football and birds basically, and I was like, hell, fucking yeah. That's the one I remember.
You stood up and you clapped.
I stood up and saluted and I clapped and I said, "That's how you do a fucking ad. That's how you run a fucking ad."
Thank you.
But outside of that one, I can't even.
I don't remember a single one.
The Temu ad that I saw.
Temu ads have been going on all year. First of all, CJ Stroud, not my quarterback, bro, being a Temu sponsor. Can't believe this, man.
Is he a sponsor, or do you think they're just like copying and pasting a picture of him? I feel like Temu's kind of got.
He posted it.
Oh, then he did.
Maybe his account glitched.
Yeah, he got hacked by Temu, man.
Chris Pratt looked like he had a mustache, so he looked like the Pringles can. I remember that one. That's just because I was like looking.
That's funny.
Bro, Chris Pratt, bro. So I don't know. The commercials sucked. Commercials just PR departments are not funny. Like people who go into PR, like these aren't comics, man.
Wow.
Nor should you be like trying to make like. It's very, very hard. I do
always end up like a little offended when it's a bad joke, and I'm like, you really thought?
That's all of them, dude. They're all bad. And they drop like now the rage is just like drop a trailer for your commercial, or like Geico is like here's our fake documentary of the Geico gecko. It's like I don't give a. You think this is a beloved character to me? Man. Like it's not. You think it is because it's on ads all the time. Geico gecko could be wiped off the face of the earth tomorrow, and I wouldn't give a fuck about it. How about that for a hot take?
Oh, what are your thoughts on Gronk missing the kick?
Doug, I don't care that Gronk missed the kick.
I do. That was awesome. Travis Kelce had 100 receiving yards. Rob Gronkowski, same age. Mind you.
Can't hit a field goal.
You can't hit a fake 25-yarder.
Dog, people were like, I can't believe he missed. It's like, dog, it's a betting. More bets probably came in for him to hit the field goal. So then they were like,
holy cow,
you're going to have to miss
I can't
this.
Believe
we need missed. Gronk commercial Herbert level excuses.
Who's going to be the front runner on this?
He really missed it.
That doesn't. Fine, he missed it. Kelsey's the GOAT. If Gronk hit that kick, it would be different.
Yeah, man.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't know about the commercial.
He'll make it next year, I'm sure.
And I'm sure I'll hear all about it.
Oh, you will.
Polling me every goddamn day.
Someone has to. But he said, no, they don't. But I think that wraps this up. We were supposed to wrap up like 20 minutes ago, and we didn't. But common occurrence, common stay hot moment. But thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great season, and we're excited to get deeper into draft stuff. But until then, and until next time, we will catch you on the Flippity Flop.